In this video, we will be going over 5 things to be looking for when you're looking at a house so that way you can avoid potential problems and make an informed decision. We'll dive right into it. So one of the things that you should be looking at is going to be the roof of the home. This is going to help protect your home from water intrusion and is going to be a major factor when it comes to making sure that the bones of the home are good. Note that for most homes or composition or asphalt roofs, the roof will usually last between 20 to 30 years. And sometimes now recently, any new roofs can potentially even go up to 50 years. If you are looking at other styles of roof, sometimes, for example, metal roofs will last anywhere between 50 to 100 years. So keeping that in mind, making sure that that roof is in good condition is going to be critical for you when you are looking at homes. The second thing to be looking at is going to be the HVAC system. This is the heating, ventilation, air conditioning of the home. Now, with this, note that in Portland, Oregon, the air conditioning side of things does not always equate to being at each house. It's not standard building practice to have that in there based off of our current codes. Now, hopefully that will be changing in the near future, but just know that it's not something that's always included. And in terms of a big expense, this is a potential big expense. This can range anywhere between 10 to potentially even 20 grand of having to replace. So keep that in mind, and it also depends on the size of the home and what the current status of the HVAC system is. So when you're looking at that, you're wanting to make sure that it's not too old or having any functioning issues, and these are things that we'll be diving into in the inspection, but just note that that is going to be a major factor to be looking at. The third thing to be looking at is the water heater. This is going to be obviously a source for hot water. And if you like hot showers, it's probably a good idea to make sure that you are ready to replace this if it is nearing the end of its life. These typically last anywhere between 5 to 8 years, however, can last a lot longer. I've seen some that have lasted up to 22 years. Now, with that, replacing that water heater, it's probably going to cost anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000, depending on the style that you get. The fourth thing you should be looking at is the electrical. These are going to be a critical part of your home and making it function properly. And just to note that if you're looking at older homes, it's good to see whether or not there's any knob and tube wiring. Now, with knob and tube, it is potentially a fire hazard. And on top of that, you're also looking at the panel or the electrical panel and knowing that some brands may not be the best, and it's a good idea to potentially update those if needed. One thing to look out for is going to be the Federal Pacific brand, and just knowing that you may want to avoid that. But know that the replacement cost of this can be anywhere between $5,000 to potentially $7,000 in terms of replacing a panel. Now, the fifth thing you should be looking at when it comes to looking at a home is going to be the pipes. Now, when it comes to pipes, you're usually going to see 4 different types of pipes here in the Portland metro area. And with that, you're going to see copper, PEX, CPVC, and galvanized pipes or steel pipes. Note when it comes to the first two, the PEX and the copper, these are kind of the gold standard and have a lot more flexibility or longevity when it comes to lasting for a while. The third one, CPVC, just note that it does become brittle over time. So when you are shutting off valves, sometimes it will break at both ends of that valve, which can be obviously problematic. So be very careful when you're twisting those. It is still a viable option, but just keep that in mind when you are using the shutoff valves. The fourth option is galvanized pipes. These galvanized pipes start to corrode from the inside out. So if you've ever noticed rusty water, that's most likely from the galvanized pipes. These are starting to kind of reach the end of their lifespan. They last anywhere between 50 to 60 years, potentially even 70. But just know that these will start to fail over time, and it's a good idea to understand that you may need to repipe a house if you are nearing the end of the pipe's lifespan. Now, a sixth bonus tip is to be looking at the structure, and this includes looking at the foundation along with the walls. Overall, you're looking for the potential for maybe too much sagging. Note that there will be some level of settling when it comes to these older homes. The major red flags you should be looking for is if you are looking at doors or windows and you start to see a diagonal line that is going around, that means that you usually have too much stress on those joints or on those points. Now, on top of that, if you're looking at the foundation, you're probably going to see some level of vertical cracks, and those are usually fine. Just note that if they get too large, that's when it can potentially become problematic. But the ones you really should be watching for are the horizontal cracks. Those are definitely much more of an indicator that there are some potential structural issues when it comes to the foundation. If you found any of these tips helpful, it would be wonderful if you could hit that like and subscribe button. It helps out my channel a ton. And with that, if you have any other comments on what you would recommend in terms of things to look for, I would love to hear them down in the comments section. And I appreciate you so much for watching. Thanks so much.